In boxing, every fighter dreams of protecting a perfect record. But sooner or later, even the greatest legends face the moment that changes everything, their first defeat. And few stories shook the boxing world more than the rise, fall, and legacy of Mike Tyson. During the mid-1980s, Tyson was more than a world champion. He was fear itself. Opponents often looked beaten before the opening bell even rang. With terrifying power and relentless aggression, Iron Mike destroyed one challenger after another, building a reputation as a man who simply could not be beaten. But on February 11, 1990, the impossible happened. Inside the Tokyo Dome in Japan, Tyson faced James "Buster" Douglas, a challenger who was given almost no chance of winning. The betting odds heavily favored Tyson, and most people expected another routine victory for the undisputed heavyweight king. History had other plans. From the opening rounds, Douglas fought without fear. His sharp jab repeatedly found Tyson's face, disrupting the champion's rhythm. Round after round, Douglas stood his ground and refused to be intimidated. For the first time in years, Tyson looked vulnerable. Yet Tyson remained dangerous. In the 8th round, a devastating uppercut sent Douglas crashing to the canvas. The crowd erupted. It seemed the underdog's dream was over. But Douglas got back up. And 2 rounds later, the boxing world was turned upside down. A crushing right uppercut stunned Tyson. Douglas followed with a barrage of punches that sent the champion to the canvas. Tyson struggled to rise, but his legs could no longer support him. Mike Tyson had been knocked out. One of the greatest upsets in sports history had just taken place. That defeat was more than the loss of a title. It shattered the aura of invincibility that had surrounded Iron Mike throughout his reign. Although Tyson returned to winning ways afterward, his life outside the ring began to unravel. Controversies, personal problems, and eventually prison interrupted his career just as fans were hoping to see him reclaim his dominance. When Tyson finally returned, he fought his way back to the top and regained world championship gold. But a new challenge was waiting for him. His name was Evander Holyfield. In 1996, the two met in one of the most anticipated fights in boxing history. Most fans believed Tyson would overwhelm Holyfield early. Instead, they witnessed something completely unexpected. Holyfield absorbed Tyson's best punches and fired back with relentless determination. He refused to be intimidated. He stood toe-to-toe with the most feared man in boxing and gave as good as he got. For perhaps the first time in his career, Tyson faced an opponent who simply would not break. As the fight wore on, Holyfield grew stronger while Tyson became increasingly frustrated. The champion's aggression was no longer enough. In the 11th round, the referee stepped in and stopped the fight. Evander Holyfield had defeated Mike Tyson. The king had been dethroned once again. 7 months later, the world watched the rematch. The tension was enormous. Tyson entered the ring determined to avenge his loss and reclaim his place at the top. But the fight would become famous for all the wrong reasons. As frustration boiled over, Tyson committed one of the most shocking acts in sports history. During a clinch, he bit Holyfield's ear, tearing off a piece of it. The arena descended into chaos. Tyson was disqualified, fined millions of dollars, and stripped of his boxing license. The infamous bite fight became one of the most controversial moments ever witnessed inside a boxing ring. Yet Tyson refused to disappear. After returning once again, he strung together victories and earned one final shot at heavyweight glory. Standing in his way was the dominant British champion, Lennox Lewis. Their 2002 showdown represented Tyson's last realistic chance to reclaim the heavyweight throne. Early in the fight, Iron Mike charged forward with the aggression that had defined his career. But Lewis was bigger, stronger, and tactically brilliant. Round after round, Lewis controlled the distance with his jab and neutralized Tyson whenever he got close. As the fight progressed, it became clear that the younger, sharper champion was in complete control. Tyson kept coming forward, but he could not solve the puzzle. In the 8th round, Lewis finished the job with a devastating knockout. Tyson's final opportunity to become heavyweight champion again had slipped away forever. But the story was not over. In 2004, Tyson faced British heavyweight Danny Williams. Early in the fight, flashes of the old Iron Mike appeared. His combinations were sharp, and his aggression looked familiar. Then everything changed. Tyson suffered a serious knee injury early in the contest and fought on despite the pain. Williams gradually took control and eventually scored a shocking knockout victory. For many fans, it was the clearest sign yet that Tyson's legendary career was nearing its end. A year later, Tyson stepped into the ring against Irish heavyweight Kevin McBride. At first, Tyson looked competitive, but as the rounds passed, fatigue began to take over. The speed, explosiveness, and relentless pressure that once terrified the heavyweight division were fading. After 6 rounds, Tyson sat in his corner and made a decision that stunned the boxing world. He refused to continue. For the first time, Mike Tyson openly admitted that the fire to fight was gone. That night, one of the most remarkable careers in boxing history came to an end. But Tyson's legacy was never defined by his defeats. He may have lost titles. He may have suffered setbacks. He may have fallen from the heights of greatness. Yet the world remembers Mike Tyson for something far greater. The fear he inspired. The knockouts he delivered. The excitement he brought to every arena he entered. Decades have passed. Champions have come and gone. New generations have risen and fallen. But very few names still command the same respect, fascination, and awe. And that name is Mike Tyson. One of the most feared, most influential, and most unforgettable fighters ever to step inside a boxing ring. But very few names still command the same respect, fascination, and awe. And that name is Mike Tyson. One of the most feared, most influential, and most unforgettable fighters ever to step inside a boxing ring. And even today, long after his final fight, highlights of his devastating knockouts continue to captivate millions of fans around the world, proving that true legends never fade, they become immortal.